Okay, so I'm back with you today, and this is a video that is designed to talk to you about the Kybalion and what Jax references briefly in StarFish evolution. So basically, the Kybalion's an ancient book. No one really knows how far back the Kybalion goes. Some say Hermes Trismegistus, the 3 times great or thrice great magi, sage, mentor to many. Some have said he's Enoch, some have said other things. And no one really knows because it's just whatever it is. We get the history of it passed down from generation to generation, and who knows how many times it's been rewritten. But ultimately, it's a book. It's a short book. You can check out the link below, but it's a short book that deals with 7 principles. And I'm only going to talk today about one of them. And the relationship between this one principle called polarity and your thought life is probably the most significant writing I've ever read on the subject of reversing polarity and turning negative thoughts into positive ones. You notice today I'm wearing my, I guess it's my Indiana Jones hat. Some people say it's an Okie hat, some people say it's something worse. I know my wife does. She's not real partial to it, but you know, I wear it anyway just because I kind of like the hat. So there you go. Polarity. You get a negative thought, all right? It comes in, and who knows where it comes from, but you can take this little test and then you can kind of figure it out from then. Just make the statement in the morning at sunrise, I'm not going to have a negative thought for the next 2 hours. And yeah, about 30 seconds later, another one pops in. And you just commanded the universe that you weren't going to have one. And so another one shows up. And what's that about? We live in a sea of polarity. You see it in magnets, North and South Pole. You see it in the Earth, North and South Pole. You got a positive side, negative side. We continue to experience negativity, and the trap in most ways of thinking is that we think, or we're taught pretty much early on, that the negative thoughts are generated by ourselves, but in truth you're an antenna. Yes, we pick up on them, and yes, we feel them in our heart and in our heads, who knows where, but the thoughts exist prior to you receiving them, and hence there is an issue of where'd that thought come from. My sense of it is, and this is just my experiments with truth, and yours may be different, and I'm entirely open to you sharing whatever your thoughts are, but the truth of the matter is, who wants to walk around feeling negative all day long? Who wants to walk around like an antenna and picking up on negative thoughts all day long? So ultimately, what do you do with them? Some say you fight them. Some say you ignore them. Some say you meditate them away. My sense of it is this, and I've tried all of it. The Kybalion says to simply replace it with its opposite, and it's pretty simple to do. So let me give you what the Kybalion says from 30,000 feet down in a nutshell. Take the concept of love and hate, or take the concept of hot and cold. They're the same thing, they're just opposite sides of the seesaw. So if you take a thought that's negative and replace it with one which is positive, using I am to precede it, you've basically changed the polarity and alchemized it. The truth of the matter is you may have to do it 2 or 3 times or more in a given day because they keep popping up and we keep feeling them and we keep receiving them. But ultimately, when you replace the thought of, I don't like this, with, I really enjoy something else, it tends to erase the negative thought and put you and your mind and your heart in a state of the opposite polarity. And it's a simple thing to do. So let's say a thought comes up and goes, I didn't pay this bill today. All right, well, that's a thought of potentially fear that you don't have the money to pay the bill, you don't have what's needed to pay the bill, whatever that might be. So you replace it with the thought of something like this: I am constantly able to receive the resources that are necessary to not only pay my bills, but to live the lifestyle that I want. So I am that. I am. And that's the nature of the Kybalion. It's a short book. It's an easy read. I've made it available down below. I annotated a version of it because it was in the public domain. And that was significant enough, since it was in the public domain, to annotate it a little bit and give you some of my thoughts on it. And there's a couple ways to get it. You can download it for free as a PDF, and you can read it. If you want to buy a hardback copy, I've published it, and there's a link below. And if you want to have it in your library, great. And if you don't, you got it electronically for free. I mean, nothing wrong with free. I really believe, at the end of the day, that most people's lives are better when they're able to handle their thought life. And I see this in my work consistently. I can't count the number of times I'll walk into work and say to a coworker, "Hey, how's it going today?" And the response is, "I'm here." And it seems to be a repeated thought form, a meme, if you will, that continues to self-generate inside the working environment. It's like, okay, I'm here. And in my own mind, in my own heart, I don't say this to them, but it's like, that's the best we can do. I'm here. So the way to handle it when you're in that moment, and the way I handle it, is when I hear that kind of thought, I say I have nothing to learn from that, and I simply replace it internally. I don't say it to them, but I say it internally. I have nothing to learn from that, and I replace it with a thought which is empowering, such as, this is a day of great opportunities, and I am going to experience them. And that's enough. I mean, there really isn't anything else you can do. You're not going to change them necessarily. I mean, you can try, but it winds up in an argument or winds up in hurt feelings, and I'm not about that. So what I try to do in my own mind is not let a negative state of someone else affect, my sense of how the day's going to go. And the only way I can really do that is to change the thought form from one of negativity to one that it's polar opposite. So hot and cold are the same thing on the seesaw, they're just a different degree. Love and hate are the same thing on the seesaw, they're just a different degree. And you can change the thought form states in something which is similar. You can't change, for example, hot or cold to the color purple. They're different things. They're different types of things. But you can change the same thing, the same kind of thing. Let's take fear. What's its opposite? Fear, the opposite of fear is courage. So when you sense fear and you receive a thought of fear, knowing that it didn't really come from you in the first place, you turn around and say, I'm courageous. And I'm going to be that way all day. And it changes the state of being, of a human being. We're not a human that's not being. We're always being, and it's a verb, and it's a constant process. And so the way I handle it with the Kybalion as a reference point is that I look at the state of the thought and I just replace it with its opposite. And I do it continually until it just simply dissipates and goes away, kind of like in a windstorm. And you'll notice, my guess, you'll notice that as you do it more and more often, you're going to feel differently. And those negative thoughts are going to go, well, I can't grab onto that guy or that gal any longer, and they tend to weaken significantly over time. So you make it like a practice. Okay, I'm going to do this for 30 days, and I'm going to see if it works. I'm going to see if literally the way that I do work, the way I experience work in the workplace changes simply because, like a garden, I watch for the weeds, and rather than pulling them, and rather than tussling and fighting with them, I simply replace them with their polar opposite. And as you do that, my guess is you're going to experience a state change in your life that, well, you know what? I don't want to project it. Simply do it and share your thoughts online. See if it, is something that feels good and resonates with you. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's worked really well with me. I'm one person and you're another, but the book gets into it, but not in depth. There's no way to really do it as a textbook. I refer to it, and I give you the links, and I just invite you to experiment with it and share your thoughts and see whether or not, after you read that book and you read the chapter that deals with polarity, and you take it in and you internalize it, let me know what you think. I mean, I'm really interested to see if your experience is the same as mine. So, this is me. This is the author, StarFish Evolution. This is my Indiana Jones hat. And I just wish you a great day. Thanks for watching.